Apparently, Bob Odenkirk is making a name for himself as an action star with the Nobody movies and now this, and I am all here for it. The reason this is called Normal is because that's the name of the town in which it takes place, in Minnesota. There are actually 5 places, as far as I could find, in the United States that are called Normal. None of them in Minnesota, actually, though. But Bob Odenkirk is an interim sheriff in this town because the previous sheriff passed away, so he is just taking charge there for a little while, and everything seems a little too normal. Everything seems a little too good to be true. We know there's gotta be some shady shit going on some level. And when a bank robbery happens, this causes a whole bunch of nonsense to be revealed that just spirals completely out of control and turns into basically a giant siege of the entire town. It's written by Derek Kolstad, who wrote most of the John Wick movies and the Nobody movies, so he knows how to write these tight, efficient action films. And while I didn't like this as much as any of those, not even really close, it's still a pretty fun throwback action movie, and I love seeing Bob Odenkirk do this shit. He's really good here as this sheriff who's kind of lax. He's just kind of trying to be chill. I'm gonna come into this town for a little while. I don't want to disturb things, shake it up too much. I'm gonna be friendly, I'm gonna be pretty lenient, and then I'll just leave when the job is done. He had some rough things happen in his past on the job that you find out about throughout the movie, and so he's kind of looking for a purpose, trying to figure things out, got a few issues with the wife, as he's just kind of chilling in this snowy little town. And he's immediately likable, he nails that role, but when the action kicks in, he can deliver that very well too. He's not this like highly trained badass like he was in Nobody, he's just kind of a normal dude, and he can sell both things. You also got people like Henry Winkler, Lena Headey, as you meet more of the people throughout this town, and I really like the setting. It's snowing the entire time. This cold, isolated little town is a really nice location for something like this, and we spend a good amount of time establishing all of the townspeople and the locations. It felt like it was taking a little while to get going, but in retrospect, it was all very important. It was all necessary setup because when the action actually kicks in, so many of those townsfolk and those locations that we went to and those little things that we saw, those all come back into play. And I like the way in which the plot escalates. The time that it took to set everything up was worth it because what starts out as just these 2 random people robbing a bank turns into so much more as we realize what is in this bank and who that's connected to and who has what secrets and who's going to be on what side of this larger conflict and how that kind of embroils the entire town in this one chaotic day where bullets and grenades and dynamite and everything is just being flung all over the place. Like, it escalates so hard, so fast that once the action kicks in, it doesn't take a lot of breaks. It's pretty exciting from there on out for the rest of the movie, and the whole thing is not even 90 minutes, so it gets in, does what it needs to do, and gets out. It's not here to waste your time. It's not trying to be too complicated. There's some good humor in there as Bob Odenkirk interacts with some of the more eccentric members of this town. Like I said, it's a very simple movie. It's not the most memorable. It's not the type of action movie I'm gonna throw on all the time. But if you just want the action, it's fun. There's people exploding, there's some good hand-to-hand fights. This movie seems to specialize in like Rube Goldberg contraptions as methods of death. It happens many times where there's so much going on, like so many bullets flying in so many directions that it'll hit something which falls on something and knocks over something and then that kills a person in a hilarious way. They do that over and over again to the point where I'm like, you guys don't even need to actually be doing anything. You don't need to be defending any of this. Just let them accidentally kill themselves. It keeps happening. And I really like that. It added a little extra personality to the story. Like I said, it's not very deep. The story is very simple. It's predictable. Once you find out what's going on, it's clear from there how it's all going to go. I enjoyed the characters. Bob Odenkirk teams up with this younger person who kind of becomes his deputy, and I like that relationship. But it's not about surprising you. It's not about compelling dialogue. It ain't that kind of movie, bruv. The ending in particular I found rather anticlimactic. Once the action ended, I was like, there has to be more though, right? Is that really how we wrap things up? Not only with the action, but even with the story. I actually wanted to see it go a little further. I wanted to see more of the details about what would happen after the conclusion that we saw. It felt like there were some necessary steps that we would need to take after that we just are kind of left hanging on. Even with some of Bob Odenkirk's character, like we get his backstory, and even that left several pretty large questions for me where I was like, I need to know more about that to really understand where we're even coming from with his character arc. And it's a serviceable character arc. I enjoyed following him, but even that is pretty surface level, and I can think of just some minor changes that actually would have made it quite a bit more compelling. There are some areas of his character and some of the ideas discussed in this movie where by the end I'm actually not even really sure what they were trying to say, if they were trying to say anything at all, but you're not supposed to think about it that deeply. It's kind of just about dudes getting shot and stabbed and blown up. So if you want something like Nobody crossed with Hot Fuzz, because the entire town gets embroiled in this conflict, and secrets are unveiled, and there's a whole bunch of setup, although nowhere near the comedic level that Edgar Wright is able to pull off in something like that. I'm not saying in terms of quality, but in terms of the thematic approach and the story and everything, there's some similarities to movies like Hot Fuzz. And also mixed with a siege movie, Assault on Precinct 13, or whatever comes to your mind, where these characters are locked down. There's so many people trying to kill them all at once, and they're just trying to survive the night in these small buildings in this tiny little town and do whatever they can to move around and figure out how to get out of this. It's a cool blend of various types of action movies. It was a cool little throwback. Not the type I'm gonna revisit all the time, but you know, I could throw it on here and there on a rainy day and just be satisfied at the chaos, the action, and the Odenkirk. I heard some really positive early reactions for this movie, and I think they oversold it a little bit. But if you just go in knowing that you're gonna have a simple, fun, sub 90-minute action romp in a small town, it's pretty enjoyable. But this was all just my opinion. Leave your own thoughts on the film down in the comments below if you really got into the action, if you needed more out of the story, or whatever you thought. We can talk about it down there. Thank you so much for watching. Also got The Mummy coming out soon. I'll be reviewing that next. I don't know. I am hopeful, but no idea how that one's gonna turn out. I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you next time.